Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss football from Paris to Berlin, Pato. From every disco McCubbin gets in, my heart is pumping for love for you too. How the devil are you, fellas?
Oh, good.
Oh, buzzing to be here.
Great
That
to be
MV you digging out there.
You probably feel how I look, having had no sleep last night. My neighbour, my posh neighbour, and his dog Dibbles kept me up all night. Hope he leaves the gas on when he goes out.
Strong.
The old Sylvia Plath. Sausage dog, rubbish. Anyway, our first question comes from Matthew Iwarura. Mate, they're little and aggressive, which I can relate to be fair. And he's asked, who are the big winners from the January transfer window in Europe? Let's steer clear of Premier League teams, because no doubt we'll discuss them on Sunday Vibes, you know. Don't want to do two birds with one stone, do we? Need to talk bollocks on Football Daily as well. So, Joe, keep it Continental. What are we saying?
I don't think there's been many big winners on the continent outside the Premier League. Maybe Barcelona, but you're going to talk about them in a bit. I'll talk about an interesting window, and I think Dortmund had the most interesting window of any of the teams on the continent. Obviously sold Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for £55 million, which I think is a small amount for a player of his incredible quality, guarantees you 20 to 30 goals a season, and is absolutely the spearhead of that Dortmund team. Such a young side as well. I think they needed that 28-year-old up front to not only score the goals but lead the line.
Okay.
So I think that's a big loss for him. But I'm super excited to see Michy Batshuayi in yellow. I think he's going to do a really good job out there. Obviously, well documented that he's still scoring more than a goal a game at Chelsea, and I know the Blues fans moan about his hold-up play, some of his first touches, some of his link-up, but I actually really like Batshuayi. He was great at Marseille. I think he's going to be really good at Borussia Dortmund as well. So I think that's a good sign. They've also kind of rotated some of the defenders, haven't they? They've let Subotic leave the club finally. I think his contract was up in the summer, but he's been injured for 2.5 years. I think he's joined Zanetti, and they've also got rid of Marc Bartra. That wasn't a very successful experiment, was it? When they signed him from Barcelona, they've let him go to Real Betis, I think. They've also brought in a young Swiss defender. I forget his name, but very highly rated for 18 million euros. Akanji, yeah, that's the one. So I think Dortmund have had a super interesting window. Not necessarily the best, because they've lost their best player, but it's going to be interesting to see them in the second half of the season battle out for that Champions League.
Yeah, they're in a really tight race, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know whether Batshuayi can do it for them, but hopefully he can, because I think it's an exciting move.
Yeah, agreed. Quite a moderate sum, quite a fair sum for Aubameyang, and I think he's only on 180k a week at Arsenal as well, isn't he? So wages not as high as I'd have expected. Pato, do you want to go next, or shall I jump in?
I think you should go.
All right, mate. I'm going to go with Barcelona. As Joe mentioned, I bagsed them beforehand. Pretty hard not to mention these guys having completed the Coutinho move for a whopping 142 million euros. Now, I think it's to their credit that they pushed this through, because the hierarchy at Barcelona could have rested on their laurels slightly. 11 points ahead of Real Madrid at the time, 8 points ahead of second place Valencia. They could have saw the season out in a relatively low maintenance fashion, because I think they would have had to have had a record poor second half of the season, and Real Madrid a record high second half of the season, in order for those roles to be reversed. They also signed Yerry Mina, who looks an exciting prospect, 23-year-old Colombian from Palmeiras, for a fairly moderate sum as well, £12 million. Watched a few highlight reels of him. He looks pretty impressive in terms of being a physical specimen. Not overly sure on his playing style, but he brings in cover for Vermaelen, doesn't he? Vermaelen was playing in place of Umtiti, who's come back and was absolutely incredible against Valencia last night. He was good against Alaves as well. And to Valverde's credit, he's managed to shift out a bit of deadwood as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Mascherano, 8 million to China. He's got rid of Rafinha, who I actually rate, to Inter Milan. I think it's a great signing for Inter Milan.
Yeah, me too.
Scoring, contributing to over 1 goal every 2 games last season from central midfield. So I don't really get that, but anyway, he's gone. Deulofeu's gone to Watford. Never really looked comfortable in the Barca jersey, almost consumed him to a degree. Who else have they moved on? We've got obviously Arda Turan on a 2.5-year loan deal to a Turkish club.
Wages while he's been there.
To a Turkish club who I won't even try and pronounce. I think, and as a result of that, he's actually managed to bring the average age of the squad down a year, which is pretty impressive over the course of a window. So while this Barcelona side, who are having fewer shots than any Barca side has, I think since 2012, 2013, is romping the league, Barcelona's hierarchy have realised that we're doing better than expected at this point. This is probably unsustainable given the personnel we have, and they've strengthened, and they've probably got a bit of a stranglehold, at least mentally now, on La Liga going into next season. So I think they've done very well. Pato, have you thought of someone in the time that I've been running my mouth?
Well, I think that quite often in this sort of window, what's really impressive is keeping hold of your players.
Yeah.
Or, shifting people off the wage bill. Obviously, a club like Atletico Madrid, they've managed to bring back Diego Costa. He's probably one of the best players to move in January.
Yes, really good shout.
We could look at Bayern Munich as well, getting Goretzka on a pre-contract, ready to join in the summer. That's really good business too. It's possible that Juventus have done some groundwork with Emre Can as well. But I don't know. The stuff I like is kind of, RB Leipzig have kept hold of Keita and they've brought in Lookman on loan, and just to bulk things out a little bit over the back half of the season. Roma managed to keep hold of Alisson, of Manolas, of Nainggolan, of Dzeko. That's really good business. They've let Emerson go, but then they've brought in Jonathan Silva from Porto, who's a really good young fullback. So probably about the same overall.
About Bilbao replacing Laporte with Martinez, don't they?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Tasty move.
I mean, they've got a little bit older because Laporte was 23 and Martinez is 26. They also, I think, were trying to close a deal for Mikel Merino to join in the summer, who's currently on loan at Newcastle from Dortmund. If they could get him, that would be amazing. He is Basque, yeah. So that would be really great business for them. They're obviously hamstrung by their recruitment policy. And then you think about other stuff like, look, do I think Coquelin's a great player? No, but do I think £12 million for a guy who can contribute to a side who are trying to get into the Champions League is good? Yeah, I do.
What a way to make your debut as well at centre-back against Real Madrid. Did okay as well.
It's almost no money. And Valencia, I think, are rebuilding in an intelligent way after a few years of kind of George Mendes sponsored insanity. I wouldn't say that there's any club that I think have done outstanding business in January, but by and large, people have kept hold of their star players, and that will serve them well over the back half of the season.
There's been some pretty savvy business done for clubs that would maybe go under the radar as well. Schalke getting Pjaka in on loan. Obviously arrived at Juventus to a lot of fanfare last season. He scored in his debut. They now have a front four of Goretzka, Pjaka, Max Meyer, and potentially Baba Rahman, who I think they got on loan from Chelsea.
He's a fullback.
Again, there's one other player. I'm missing from that equation.
What about Sevilla bringing Sandro Ramirez back? I think that's a smart move.
Oh, actually, Sevilla bringing Sandro Ramirez and Roque Mesa.
I think those are two really smart moves.
Though they missed out on Batshuayi, and I think they'll be disappointed.
Surely alarm bells were ringing at Swansea when a Champions League club came in for a central midfielder who they thought could do a job for them, who has been made surplus to requirements at a club fighting relegation in the Premier League. Alarming stuff. But guys, who is your favourite move of the January transfer window? I want your best, your worst and your weirdest in the comments below. What an outro. Big fan of this next question from Asjad FCB. He's asked, lads, who is the most improved player in Europe's top leagues at the start of this season? Pat, I've got an inkling who you're going to go for. Devilishly handsome French come Moroccan bloke.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Nabil Fekir. Nabil Fekir was good last season, 9 goals, 3 assists in the league, but he was recovering from a cruciate ligament injury. So actually, arguably, it's not so much that he's improved this year as last year was a down year during his progression into a top-class player. He's basically transitioned from being a kind of attacking midfielder / winger into being much more of a forward this season in the absence of Alexandre Lacazette. They've now got a really fluid front line. They've got him, they've got Depay, they've got Mariano, and of course they've got Aouar and Ndombele breaking from midfield.
Delightful.
He's just been sensational. His chance creation's gone down actually from 2.5 to 2.3, but his shots have gone up from 2.5 to 3.2. This is all per 90.
Which alludes to what you were saying before.
Yeah,
right?
so he's moving forward, he's shooting more, and as a result, he's now got 16 goals and 6 assists in 19 league games. That is absolutely filthy.
Love him.
I think he's got a goal involvement every 127 minutes this season. And I just think he's sensational. He's never really played enough for France, so I'm excited for him to go to the World Cup because I can't see him not going in this current form.
Yeah.
He's dribbling more than he ever has. I think he's completed 3 dribbles a game at something like a 75% success rate, 74% maybe. Even his defensive work rate has tripled. You know, he was winning the ball back once every 2 games last season. This year, he wins the ball back 3 times every 2 games. So overall, there's a real progression overall. He's working harder, and he's due a really big move. Like, Fekir is the next guy to come out of France who goes for about £60 million, I think. I kind of thought that Arsenal would go in for him as an Alexis Sanchez replacement this summer. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen now necessarily. But he is a superstar, and I think he could pretty much go anywhere. He's used to playing a possession style. He can create, he can score, he can dribble. Who wouldn't want him?
Yeah, I agree. You thought he was the ideal
24,
replacement for Alexis Sanchez as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Joseph, who are you going for?
Let's bring it back to the Premier League then, and I think it's hard to argue against Raheem Sterling this season as being the surprise package. He has been in unbelievable form. I think behind Kevin De Bruyne, he's been their most influential player this season. 19 goals already in all competitions this season. I think he's got 14 goals, 4 assists as well in the Premier League alone. I think last season he got like 7 and 6, so impressive stuff. He's just become so ruthless towards the back end of games as well. He picked City up so many points, completely calm under pressure, which is something you wouldn't have said of him probably 1 or 2 seasons ago, where he's a bit of a panicker in one-on-one situations. I've been really, really impressed with him. I think everybody else has at home as well. And building up to the World Cup is extremely exciting to have a player like Raheem Sterling in an England shirt, although I'm sure Gareth Southgate is going to absolutely ruin him. Probably play him as a right wing-back in a 3-5-2 and get nothing out of him. But nevertheless, it's exciting to have him out on that right-hand side. Maybe something England have been missing as well, a bit of pace on the right wing for a while now. So hopefully he can do well for England. But I think maybe he's just hit that sweet spot. 23 years of age, he's been developing nicely, hasn't he? He gets a lot of shit as well from the English press.
Yeah.
Over and over they batter him for his lifestyle choices, for the way he trains, for the way over the last few seasons he's missed clear-cut chances. But this season, he's silenced so many people with just unbelievable form. So I'm going to have to say Raheem Sterling.
What do you think to Pep Guardiola going out there and trying to bring in the likes of Alexis Sanchez and Riyad Mahrez then for 60 million on deadline day when they have a pretty permanent fixture on the right?
Yeah,
do you think he would have moved, played elsewhere?
I think Riyad Mahrez potentially would have played elsewhere, or Raheem Sterling. I think if he'd have bought Riyad Mahrez in for £60 million, that was only because of Leroy Sané's injury and Gabriel Jesus' injury as well. I just don't think Sterling would have been dropped. We've even seen him played as a false 9 against Manchester United, which would have maybe been a position that Pep Guardiola was looking to utilise him in. If he'd have bought Mahrez in, maybe Mahrez would have operated the right, and then in the absence of Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling would have operated as backup false 9.
He wanted to play Ribery false 9, didn't he? At Bayern.
He did for a long time. Or maybe Raheem would have moved over to the left. But I think Alexis Sanchez was nailed on to join City. I think it definitely would have happened if Raheem Sterling and Leroy Sané weren't in such shit hot form.
I think Sanchez was going to play as a centre forward, though, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
What, at the detriment of Gabriel Jesus or Aguero?
I think that probably it would have allowed him to rest Aguero for maybe Champions League games, or to play 2 up top, more of a fluid front line. Like I'm not sure. Jesus has been amazing, but I'm not sure you want to rely on him in like a Champions League semi or a Champions League final. It just gives you another option. The fact he can play across those positions. Up until about a year ago as well, Raheem Sterling's worst position was on the right. There are a couple of studies done on it, and he was involved in creating fewer chances. He had fewer shots when he played on the right, and now he is Man City's probably second best player this season while playing on the right wing. That is a remarkable development.
Yeah, I agree. I have to say Raheem. So Raheem and Fekir, who are you going for, Hamster?
I think I'm going to hark back to Barcelona again, because it's hard to look past an individual who's become more important to his team this season than Marc-Andre ter Stegen.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit as well on Twitter for battering him a couple of seasons ago, and rightly so probably now.
Well, he was playing second fiddle to Claudio Bravo, wasn't he, at one point? I don't think anyone sort of had him down as a future essential component to a title-winning Barcelona. I think he's making around 5.4 saves per goal he concedes this season, which is absolutely incredible. That's up from a very, very decent 3.3 last season. Actually, watching them against Alaves and Valencia in recent weeks, they have been defensively suspect. They commit a lot of men forward at times, especially with Jordi Alba and Semedo bombing on, and it leaves them open to these counter-attacks. And Ter Stegen is such a cool head back there.
Yeah.
He made a couple of pivotal saves in these games, particularly Alaves when they were 1-0 down already, thanks to Guidetti's weird kind of finish where he whacked it into his standing foot. Didn't stand a chance with that one. But I think only David De Gea has more clean sheets in him than in Europe's top 5. Than him this season, sorry. I think he's level with Jan Oblak on 13, De Gea's on 14. Only Atletico Madrid have conceded fewer goals in Europe's top 5 than Barcelona.
As well, but he really does start the attacks.
Yeah, his distribution, I think, is around. His passing accuracy is around 30% better than Jan Oblak's.
Yeah, it's
and Jan Oblak is someone who I think we'd all agree justifies his buyout clause of 100 million euros. He is that good a goalkeeper.
If Neuer is fit let's say Neuer comes back like March, April time, or I think that's when he's rumoured to be coming back, right? Would you start Ter Stegen, or would you stick Neuer straight back in the sticks for the German?
I think
I'd start Ter Stegen.
Yeah?
I personally would start Ter Stegen, but I think Neuer is one of the sweethearts of the international setup, isn't he? And I think if he's fit and he's played a couple of games, he'll and displayed decent form, he'll slot straight back in.
Yeah.
Joachim Löw has tended to be pretty consistent with his international kind of setup, hasn't he? Apart from obviously the Confederations Cup where they made wholesale changes. But yeah, Ter Stegen, brilliant. Not sure about his lid though, bit of a rat's tail. But apart from that, all good. Mark. Moving on. Last but not least, lads, we have our game preview. It's Monaco versus Lyon in the Principality on Sunday. Now, to give you some context, Lyon 11 points behind PSG in second place, tied with Marseille on 48 points. Monaco are sitting fourth on 47. Fifth place, I believe, is Nantes, and they are 10 points behind Monaco. So it's very much PSG running away with it, and there is a chasing pack of 3 who could switch position on any given match day. Pato, apart from that Bordeaux up last week, Lyon actually this season have been displaying excellent away form, having won their previous 6 ties on the road. Do you see them getting a result in this game?
Well, history would suggest that they've got a pretty good shot. Like you said, they'd won 6 away games. They also beat Monaco away in the Cup last week after they beat PSG 2-1. And that Bordeaux result I thought was a little bit unfair. Of course, Malcolm put in a horrific dive to win a penalty, which gave them a kind of 2-goal advantage. And it was difficult to come back at that point. But Lyon's attack is really, really good. We've now got Fekir, Mariano, Depay all in double figures. They've got the second best goal difference in the league after PSG. They've got plus 27, while Marseille are on plus 23. I don't know. I think that their squad is still a lot deeper than Monaco's. I think that their midfield has come together really, really nicely with Ndombele, Aouar, Touzard. I'm really excited about this team, and I would probably go for Lyon here. I think they've been really, really impressive this season. They've lost 3 games overall, and if they can beat PSG, then I think they can easily beat Monaco.
Yeah, very impressive in that game against PSG, weren't they, as well? Particularly Ndombele, who I think completed 6 dribbles on the night. Absolute powerhouse. I think he's going to be much sought after in the summer. Joe, any other star players to look out for? Anyone under the radar who you think might contribute?
I'll play devil's advocate then, and I'll go for a Monaco win here.
Okay.
I don't think they've lost a game in the league so far in 2018, which is a pretty impressive record. The only time they've actually lost, I think, this whole year in all competitions is against Lyon in the Cup. I actually think they've lost both of the head-to-heads so far this season, which isn't great going into the game. But nevertheless, a good record in 2018. We've seen Falcao midweek get a couple of goals, so he'll be very confident coming into this back one. And he's already got 16, 16 this season already. Keita Balde, we talked about him, bigged him up big time before the start of the season, didn't we, coming into this one. He's done okay. I think maybe some Monaco fans were expecting a little bit more from him, but he's got 6 goals, 3 assists. And then Fabinho, who they did brilliantly well to hang on to in the summer, because obviously PSG were extremely interested. Manchester City and Manchester United wanted him as well. Pretty sure he'll leave in the summer, but from defensive midfield contribution of 4 goals, 3 assists as well. So I think Monaco will be quietly confident about this one, although the head-to-head record worries me. So I will go, just to play devil's advocate, 2-1 to Monaco.
Okay, interesting. So we have a split panel.
Split-ish.
I think I'm going to go with Lyon. I think they are better as an overall team. I reckon Falcao's probably going to get the score sheet. I think it's going to be 2-1, maybe a Mariano double. Big fan of Mariano. £8 million move. What a bit of business that was in the summer. Guys, let us know your score predictions on Twitter. Handles appearing somewhere here. Let's just seamlessly segue into the end board, fellas. What else is happening in the world of Football Daily, in Euro Football Daily?
Well, we've got 90+1 facts. We've got Zinedine Zidane. We've got Alexis Sanchez. We've got some great ones over the last few weeks. So head over there. Make sure that you're subscribed and check out all the great content on Kieran's channel.
Yeah, we've got viral footy news on Football Daily today talking about the supposed leaked sacking of Antonio Conte, although to me it just seems like a load of nonsense. But what do you think about it? It'd be good. Head over there, let us know in those comments on VFM.
Love you.